The kids didn't know a lot of English. And so, when you're with kids that you're trying to relate with, like you're trying to come up with different things to interact with them with. And so one of the things we did was teach them the song, You Are My Sunshine.
My sunshine, my only
We asked, like, what is sunshine in the local language? And we were told it's Musana. And so we're like, that's it. And so we named it Musana, and all of our schools, the motto is shining to change. So I grew up in Colorado and was a student at the University of Colorado and was in the business school and was introduced to the concept of microfinance, which is giving small loans to the poorest people in the world to, so that they could start businesses and lift themselves up out of poverty. And I got so excited about that. And so found an internship opportunity here in Iganga and signed up. I convinced my sister, Leah, and my good friend, Sally, to join me. And we ended up, getting on an airplane and coming for the summer of 2008.
Do you remember meeting Andrea for the first time?
Yeah, I do. So meeting Andrea for the first time is when I moved to Iganga. It was just probably a week when I'd just come to Iganga again to visit relatives and friends. And the house we're in, she was being hosted just across the street. We became friends and started sharing about life and learning about each other. She mentioned she was doing internship, and also she was volunteering at an orphanage during her free time to help out with the kids at this orphanage.
Sally and Leah started coming with me, and over the summer, right, over those few months, like every day, I spent time there. And, you walk in and you just see this massive number of kids that are just, malnourished and dirty and idle and bored, and no one could go there and think this is okay, that this is how kids should be living.
We were living a life of misery, life of no education.
Sleeping at night, bed bugs they come and bite you.
We could only have one meal a day. Even sometimes failing when for us, we were very young, we could miss.
We didn't have any mattress. We didn't have any tables to stand on. We could just sit in the dust.
If I can summarize, it sucks. Life that side was so much bad.
People have known in our communities that are poor that if you present a situation where people are very poor, desperate, and need you, that you will give money. People also learn that, okay, I'll take this for myself. If I make it better, they will stop giving me the donation. So it becomes a cycle and a dependency and a deceit because they have mastered the art of what the donor wants.
It became really clear that it was benefiting a lot of people to have the kids in these conditions. And that was very hard to come to terms with, right? That people could take advantage of so many kids in that kind of a way. So there was a day we were at the orphanage and a man drives up in this big white government truck, and he gets out and he has a letter and he walks it over to the director and hands it to her and goes and gets in his truck and drives away. I look at the letter and it says, basically, you have 2 days to close the orphanage or we'll come and kick all the kids out. that night, I remember sitting in our little room, the three of us, Sally, Leah, and I would sleep in, and we talked about, like, what if we take this on and rescue these kids and start a new home for them. And in those beginning months, things started to get really dangerous. I started getting death threats. I became such a risk that my host family actually kicked me out. And that's when Haril just became like my anchor, and we became a team.
And we all understood that we needed to do something about these children. We can't walk away from them.
I mean, the biggest obstacle was convincing the directors of that orphanage to let us take the kids.
So that's how Musana started. Sally and Leah went home to see that they can raise support, to see that there is some resources that come to support the kids at that time. But I would say there was a lot of God in it because it was a journey of faith. I had no idea about taking care of 80 children, and how to support them. I remember looking for a place where the kids would be, and we looked at very many places, running around the whole day for a couple of days, and God showed us this place. It was a jungle.
This was being built into a vocational school. So it was like there was none of this around it. This was the very end of town, and this was basically a village. So these buildings, they weren't complete. This was just a foundation. And then this building was the most complete, but it still wasn't like totally finished. So we finished it, cleaned it, painted it, and then started Musana. And we built a little kitchen. The first 2.5 years of Musana, it was so challenging. Because I had no idea how to run an organization in Uganda. And the truth is I shouldn't have been running an organization in Uganda, which is why it was so hard. And I went back to university to graduate in the spring semester of 2011. And it was very hard to leave, right? Because it felt like it was all on my shoulders. And leaving for that chunk of time was the best thing that ever happened to Musana, because one, I learned Musana is in God's hands. And the second thing is that Haril is the leader Musana needs. I came back after being away for 5 months, and I found a completely different organization.
We were in constant communication with her while she was not here. But one thing that I see from that point of time, that's when actually the locals understood that they are responsible for what is happening here. They are responsible for the children. They are responsible for Musana. Because the best solution is not to create more orphanages, but to improve livelihood by helping people to uplift them out of poverty and dealing with the cause rather than the symptoms. So if a child is growing up and knowing, if I have education, if I have a skill, if I have the work ethic, if I have the belief that I can help people within my community, myself I can be the change, then we can have multiple people who can uplift our community. So we wanted to see local ownership pave the way for sustainability in terms of life improvement. And that led to the change of Musana from a children's home to a community development organization. And when Andrea came back, everything was just moving well. So it led to the path of local ownership. And I'm glad, God being faithful, she saw that when she got back and appreciated that, and to lead from the background. She appreciated what was going on and supported that. And up to today, it has just been amazing to see the growth of Musana with the locals taking ownership and leading the way.
been in college for 3 years, and this is my 4th year. I graduate next year, meaning I'm going to get a job.
They have made me what I am now. It's like I'm a testimony to them.
For the time I've been in Musana, I've learned how to share love, how to help others, and to have the heart that serves the community.
Okay, if you could say anything to Andrea and Hareel, what would you tell them?
Wow. Sometimes when people do things for you and you feel you have nothing, you can pay them back. I'm speechless.